Last month of quarter two, 2025. Are you going to make it? Let's talk about freight. But first, here's something from our sponsor. Yes. Good morning. It is. I'm having issues today with the. Whoops. All right. We're having issues today. I am not a movie producer, nor am I a professional YouTuber. And there's a billion people out there. So doing YouTube. So I'm very privileged that you've chosen my video to watch and to listen to and to put up with. So I appreciate that. It is June. I almost said January. It's June 4th, Wednesday. I am a little bit earlier than normal. I think this is going to be kind of. I think I'm going to try to push things to 6:30. Things are very active here at Like Trucking Corp, and we've got like two new people starting soon. We're dealing with some ELD stuff, possibly, and so it's been pretty active. Um, you know, a lot of our drivers live out in the southeast, and their rates and their freight is on fire. So it's been really good for them. Um, for the most part, we're just keeping on, keeping on. Quarter two has proven to show a little bit of an upswing, and we'll go over that with the email that CDN so generously provides for me and some friends. And so I just want to thank you guys for coming in. Personally, I don't know. I didn't go live Monday. It seems like Mondays are the worst days to go live, and I'm lucky to get something out on Friday. So Wednesday seems to be the day. I already had a couple of Raycons put in this morning, but I think things are calmed down now. So I think we'll try to make this work for a little bit. Basically, we're going to look at some freight. We're going to look at 123 low board, and we'll look at some of the volumes on DAT to see where a lot of the freight is, and then we're going to take a look at some market rates, and we'll take a look at what's out there for you if you're running the spot market, or if you got to get a truck back to its dedicated run, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Personally, we're trying to get our car fixed, right? So if you guys don't know, if you don't watch my recorded videos, I did a video where a tree fell on our house, and essentially the car was underneath it, broke um, the top glass, which it's one of those features that it's kind of nice to have, but it's a pain in the ass to deal with. And the shop still has our car. And so we were frustrated with that. And then every time we turn around, there's someone wanting more money. Like our home insurance went up, our food keeps going up. What else? What's the other thing that went up? Every time we turn around, there's another fee. There's another thing being taken. Taxes went up. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So it's been kind of frustrating. We go through seasons. This is my little, I don't know, wisdom tidbit. I don't know, however you want to say it. We go through seasons where things are really tough. And, you know, and one of the hardest parts is to balance trying not to let that get to you. There are times when it feels like life is just kind of pummeling you, you know. And I think that's life's way of bringing you blessings later, because it's going to strengthen you. It sucks to go through it, but it's going to strengthen you at the end of the day. Your job is to not lose hope, not lose faith, you know not lose your mind. And it gets frustrated. I saw it on the road whenever the market is really struggling, and like when fuel was really high, everybody was on edge, everybody was irritated, everybody was, then during COVID, during the shutdowns, everybody was just, you can tell people were stressed out. You can tell people were stressed about their finances, about their health, about everything, right? And the uncertainty of the future. But these tough seasons that you go through, it's going to make you a stronger person. So all right. So there we go. Shannon, good morning. How are you doing? My name is Nobody. Good morning. Jerome Jones, good morning. Red Lady, good morning. Wheelburner, good morning. Desert Okie Pam says morning. Stanza, top of the morning to you. Stanza Transport, I like that name. The tire shop called and said there's an issue with doing the alignment due to the lane departure feature. They were going to call me back today, and we will discuss what the plan needs to be. Good. Well, that's interesting, because kind of like similar to the glass in my car, it's like back in the day, you got a 3-axle alignment, and it was, there was no sensors that you had to deal with. If your sensor was, wow, my trailer's in the other lane, I need an alignment. So, or my tires are wearing funny. Now you've got all this stuff that they got to do. So what used to be a simple job has now been complicated. And that seems to be the world that we're living in. What used to be simple jobs is now complicated, and people are capitalizing on that, because now, instead of just the $300, 3-axle alignment, now they gotta hook up a computer, and then there's a diagnostic, and then there's all this stuff. And it's just like, man, at some point, I just want to get back in a 97 FLD, and just, accept the fact that, I'm going to get 5 miles to the gallon and just be done with all of it. It's, and it's interesting. A lot of people are like, oh, these modern trucks, they get awesome fuel mileage, so look at the fuel savings you're getting. But yet they get you on the other stuff money wise. It's kind of like super singles. Super singles to me, like, oh man, you'll get better fuel mileage with them. But then one tire blowout on the road, man, it's over. Those savings are gone, because you're more likely going to go through a rim. More likely, you're definitely getting a road call. and so that fuel savings that you got just went out the window. So, but Shannon, you're in a tough season right now too, and you'll figure it out. It'll work itself out, right? Delete it. Has anyone else dealt with this issue? They're saying they don't know how to recalibrate it, so they're not sure how to go about getting the alignment done. That's a great question. That's might be one of those things that the dealership. Well, I mean, your dealership by your house is kind of worthless, but yeah, I don't know. Find a shop that can handle that. So, but anyways, let's see. Let's oh, I took away my email here. Rates. So my dispatch has been kind of slow this week. Why? Because trucks are down. Whenever we get some good momentum and we're making money, the truck decides, nope, you ain't making money today. I had one truck that was supposed to deliver Monday. Now he ain't going to deliver till Friday. So he's lost a whole week. Have another truck that just went through a major repair, got 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden now it needs another one. And so that's been one of the biggest frustrations. I know that's probably one of your all biggest frustrations as owner operators is maybe even as a company driver. You're dealing with truck breakdowns all the time. They won't give you a loaner or whatever. So, yeah. It's funny how they figure out a way to computerize overcomplicate a simple alignment, right? I mean that's what I'm saying, right? SST, what's up? Not sure it could be removed due to warranty. We'll figure it out. Orion says that's why with the Experian of my G-Wagon and Cybertruck on my vehicles are pre-2007, right? I've got a 2002 F-150. It's still, knock on wood, it's still going strong. Shadow Wolf says, you're so right. Costs so much more now to run these new trucks today, and repairs are crazy. Good morning to y'all. But hey, they're great and fuel efficient. They'll clean the air now. It's funny. I think I mentioned this before, but nobody watches, so I can say it again and not be redundant. I was watching one of my old videos because I'm weird like that, and it's one of my GoPro vlogs, and that Packard ding came up because I think I had just gotten the fuel filter changed, or it was something that made the ding, the mill light come on, and it always had that ding. And my anxiety, like had that little bit of hiccup. Is like it's so ingrained in my head that check engine lights bring some kind of PTSD. But yeah, I don't miss that part. And God bless you guys and gals that have to deal with that, especially with these modern trucks. The like Peterbilt and their fancy completely digital dashes going out. Like, well, what do you do at this point? So I mean, it's kind of, yeah, it's frustrating. But I mean, these are the things you got to prepare for if you're deciding you want to buy a truck. By the way, Wheel Burner, salute to you. We got the Iron Maiden mug going on here. Shadow Wolf, I saw you got like a little electric bike, man. That was pretty cool. Have you done a video in a while? I haven't seen anything really come up with you, but I hope you're doing well, my friend. You need to come through Springfield and visit, man. We need to break bread together. So, let's see what else. Oh man, you guys are commenting. Thank you. Shannon says my shop mechanic's best in business. In my opinion, between the two places, we'll figure out for sure. Good deal. Currently sitting on the side of the interstate. Ouch. What's going on, CFH? Just when you get unloaded, delivering at the I-285, I-20 project. Good deal. Drove through Missouri yesterday, got rocked with wind and rain around Columbia, Missouri, and then looked up and saw 3 tornado swirls starting to want to form. Needless to say, I got the hell out of there. Good. Yeah, we went through some storms last night. They were mostly up north. Like by the time they hit Springfield, because it was at a slant, they pretty much died out. But yeah, Kansas City got kind of nailed. I-70 corridor got kind of nailed yesterday. I had a really close call from a distracted driver last time I sat on the shoulder. Yeah, those shoulders are, missed me by inches. Yep. Shannon, tell him to Google how to recalibrate to whatever it needs to be calibrated. That's good advice there. Welcome back. My blood pressure used to go up while watching Jackknife TV because we had the same truck, but his check engine light was constantly going off. Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's not. It's the system now. System is designed to make money, and it's getting harder and harder to protect your investment. That's for sure. Because you might be, here's the other thing. And Shannon and I were talking about this the other day. You can be the best budgeter, the best runner, like you are on your A game with your whole operation. You got the perfect shot, right? But then someone comes along and hits your truck at the truck stop because they weren't trained properly or because they're stressed out or because they don't know what they're doing. And you could be down months because of someone else's carelessness. I mean, that's one of the biggest disadvantages of being in a semi truck company or owner is that someone could wipe out your hood with a trailer and they can keep rolling and you're stuck there with holding all the pieces literally and be down for months because someone didn't turn correctly. I mean, 1 second, and it's like, man. But if you have a strong business model and situation going on, then yeah, you don't take as less impact from that. But but there's a lot of people that get their hoods wiped out that are on a thin shoestring budget and can't afford even 1 day of downtime. And that's why I talk about on this channel to have your act together before you decide to buy a truck, because there are so many things that can go against you. And at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Well, I mean, the more you got your stuff together, it's worth it. But if you're barely paying your bills, it can be a challenge, and that's a lot of stress, and the body doesn't react to stress, So I mean, there's several things you got to think about. Shadow Wolf says, doing super awesome. Thanks for asking. No videos in a long time, but should start back doing them soon. Heading to Alaska next week in the RV. Wow, I've thought about going through Springfield. Yeah, I mean, if you do, man, let me know. Holler at me. I'm sure Jeff will say, yeah, man, take the afternoon off. Go break bread with Shadow Wolf. Morning all. If someone took out my hood, I go rent a P389 long hood just to feel like a real man for once. That increases your odds of getting your hood taken out, in my opinion. Like you never hardly hear about that when in the 80s. Well, yeah, because half the trucks were like cab overs back then, a little bit easier to deal with. But yeah, it's nowadays, half the drivers can't even get in a cab over if they needed to. So, but all right, let's go to some low board stuff. We've got actually, let's go over this email first. Let me share the screen here, and we'll do some reading. You guys love it when I read to you. It's like a boring nighttime story. Jen C says no, because I'd be too busy hauling at $5 mile freight they talk about to be stopped at a truck stop. Most of your $5 a mile freight is shorties, and so you've got 14 hours to do 150 miles, and so you sit at truck stops a lot. Trust me, I've been there, done that. Buck Brown, good morning. My first expense when I bought my truck was the Deer Guard. Yes, Shannon and I were also talking about that. I think she wants to get a Deer Guard for her truck. and I highly recommended it because I've seen that thing save several times on other people's trucks, including one of Jeff's lease trucks. So, Buck Brown, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I heard you're going on a trip soon, so you know. All right, so overall market right here. We're almost into the neutral zone in general. Van is still between soft and loose. Reefer market's almost in the neutral, and flatbed market is in the neutral, and it's almost getting tight. Now, I can attest to this that the rates that I'm seeing our flatbedder do in the southeast are just complete fire, just awesome. And the vans that are down there are doing very well as well. We don't have any reefers in this fleet at this time. We have had them in the past. But it stands to reason that we should be starting getting the harvest season, depending on what, produce you haul a lot. And then the meat, I'm not sure where the meat's at, but processed food will be starting here later in the year. So, just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see, national spot rates, according to DAT, we're up to $2 a mile again. In February, we were at 202. March, we're at 199. April, we're at 196. But today in van, we're at $2. Flatbed steadily going up. And then reefer's gone up from 228 to 236. So a huge jump with reefer. So I'm going to attest that to the seasonality. Let's see. Ohio to Jersey is your highest mover. LA to Columbus has gone down, and PA to Kansas City has gone down. So that makes sense to me. Outbound tender volume index, measure of national freight demand. The takeaway with this chart is that volumes are currently below both 23 and 24 levels. So we're still low for what we normally are, but we're higher than we were. I know that doesn't make sense, but let's see. There's a large increase in bookings after the announcement of latest China-U.S. tariff escalations in May. So there's a nice jump. So that should help things for a little bit. Let's see. I haven't really looked at this. So, all right, outbound tender reject index, which measures relative capacity in the market, is at 6.52%. Anything above 6 is shown capacity is tightening. That's good news. Van outbound reject index is at 5.4. Flatbed is at 29.52. Reefer is up to 10. So that's good. Here, market data. The White House announced a tariff increase on steel imports from 25% to 50%, aimed at strengthening the domestic steel industry effective June 4th. That's today. The ceasefire and the tariff fight between the world's two largest economies is encouraging trade across the Pacific, holding up freight prices 3 weeks on. However, on Friday, the White House stated that China had violated the agreement and that the two countries were going to have to discuss the issue. Starting on April 1st, FMCSA rolled out changes to Unified Registration System, the URS, including mandatory facial recognition and identity verification through IDEMIA, IDMIA, a security check provider, which has resulted in over a 50% reduction in the number of published authorities. Wow. The U.S. Department of Transportation is rescinding 52 federal rules, including 18 from the FMCSA, as part of a sweeping deregulation. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said the move is aimed at reducing administrative burdens and modernizing compliance standards for drivers and motor carriers. National average diesel price decreased 4.9 cents to $3.48 per gallon. Diesel is now 27.1 cents cheaper on average than during the same period in 24. So that's good news. according to data released May 28th by the U.S. Energy Information Administration. The results from nearly 4,000 respondents to an overdrive survey showed 94% of respondents support the administration's efforts on enforcing the English language proficiency requirement as an out-of-service violation. Overdrive, that's I want to say, isn't that no, it's I'm thinking of landline, never mind. But 94%, so people are tired of it. U.S. Supreme Court ruled Thursday that the Surface Transportation Board's environmental review of the proposed Bassin Railway was proper and merits the rail line outweighed its potential environmental impacts. Let's see. I'm not going to read that. CVSA announced July 13th through 19th as this year's Operation Safe Driver Week. This will have an impact on capacity during events. Never too early to inform your customers. The U.S. market is poised for a shift as spot rates and tender rejection rates signal tightening capacity. Spot rates and outbound tender rejection index are down week over week due to the ending of the road check event. However, both remain above last year's level, indicating less available capacity in spot and contract markets. Overcapacity, a lingering issue since the pandemic, has gradually eased, but new labor policies, including stricter CDL and English proficiency standards, could further reduce driver availability, potentially tightening the market. So, but I thought there's a driver shortage. Oh my gosh. Freight volume remains soft with the outbound tender volume index down 9.3 year over year. However, a surge in ocean bookings from China following a tariff delay is expected to drive intermodal and truckload demand from late June to July. Freight market is gradually shifting to favor carriers with an expected import surge in late June to July to hasten the trend. So next quarter is it. Next quarter, we should start seeing some activity that is definitely in our favor. Sometimes I wonder if chasing someone across the truck stop parking lot barefoot in my drawers is worth it if someone backed into me. Yeah, that's why, I carried slip-on shoes and I never slept naked in my truck. So, or with just underwear on. So I was prepared to run. Now, in my health condition for the most of my trucking career, a 400-pound dude naked walking across the parking lot is means for a good heart attack. But hey, what are you going to do, right? See, between the parking lot nastiness and other Gyro Spillman posting online, right? Yeah, you'd be famous, right? 6% of people not approving the English mandate read the article through a translator. That's very possible. It's very possible. So let's take a look at load availability on the 123 low board. 48065 is the code if you want to try it out for free. Don't take my word for it. Look at it for yourself. This is Van. Now, Oklahoma's red. It's been like that for a while, but I've actually been able to get some decent stuff out of Oklahoma. The broker relationships I have and knowing the market is very helpful. Oklahoma City is kind of tough, but Tulsa's not too bad because then you can just head to Miami, Oklahoma, or Springfield, Missouri, or Joplin, Missouri. Not Springfield, but Joplin. Tulsa's a bit of a drive to Springfield, and then you got Springdale. So Arkansas is green. The market is good there. Also, let's take a look at DAT real quick. Let's refresh this. What time is it? 7:04. So Arkansas looks good. Alabama looks good. California is getting worse and worse as far as their outbound volumes. Florida's a little bit lower. Georgia's a little bit lower this week, 2814, whereas a couple weeks ago it was in the 5,000s. Illinois is actually not bad. Still more in than out. Yesterday, Indiana was performing better than all the other Midwest states. Today, it's about even. Kansas hasn't been great in a while. I've struggled to get out of Kansas City for a decent rate here lately. Louisiana is doing all right. Let's see. Northeast has quieted down, definitely. Michigan has been slow for a while. Minnesota's been slow for a while. Missouri's about even. Mississippi's been pretty good. North Carolina is definitely good. Let's see. New Jersey, not quite. Nevada's got more out than in, so that's good. Ohio's got, Ohio's still more in than out, but not by much. PA has been kind of slow here lately. Tennessee's been really good. Texas has been decent coming out, but you can't make your money going in. And then Wisconsin's been about even for the most part. So let's take a look at let's take a look at Georgia here. This is for Van. 669 loads in Georgia right now on the 123 load board. Sort this by highest rate. See where the long haul stuff's going. Oh, there's your load right there, $99,999. Do that load once, you're good for a while. All right, $305 a mile. So obviously that's a typo. A lot of that is a trick to get them on the top of the chain there if you're sorting it by rate. Valdosta to Nevada, 201 a mile, 4,400. It's actually pretty good to go out west. Here's another one. Pooler, Georgia, St. Augustine, Florida. There's something up with this. $4,300. It's either a round trip or a typo. Oh, this is new. We've changed things around a little bit. One, two, three is constantly like improving things. So they've changed things around. And I don't know what happened to green screens. Green screens has not been available, so I wonder if they got rid of that. But the rate check tools are still good. Cargo Chief is still the main thing I check with. Let's see. Grovetown, here's good. So we just had a driver do this actual load. Grovetown to Presque Island. Presque, is that how it's said? Island, Maine. It's got several stops: Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine. Your tolls are looking to be about $243. Probably get them up a little bit even from there. Yeah, see, this is a normal Nevada rate. Atlanta to Henderson is only $1.39 a mile. $1.31 to Phoenix. $2.25 to Massachusetts, but we're looking at rate per day for the most part. Like here we go, $1 a mile to go from Georgia to California. That's not going to cut it, and it's got extra stops too. You gotta love it. 70% below my cost per day, so this is not a profitable load for me. And they use an app called Turbo Tracking. It's baked food, so it can't be too fresh if it can go in a van. So let's do the highest rate per mile, which is predominantly going to be Florida and Northeast. Or Tennessee. Again, there's that $100,000 load. Georgia to Florida, $25. Again, that's that another typo. All right, here we go. 691, 750. 750 go 150 miles. 900 to go 218 miles. I like this one. Savannah to Anderson, South Carolina. Because South Carolina outbound volumes are good too. So that picks up today, delivers tomorrow, easy breezy, still rolls. So I have this on van? Yeah. I guess some steel rolls. I have hauled steel rolls in a van. It could be tricky. You got to definitely make sure your load securement is good. All these news sound like I need to go buy a couple of trucks. No. No. These tariffs are a big shell game being played with the entire Western world's finances. I agree with that. Josh Vegan, what's up? Here we go. 1187, Georgia to Tennessee. That's a good load. Tennessee's outbound is really good. Virginia is always good to go in. They're at 2100 for 564 miles. Let's take a look at this load, see if it's a multi-stop. Picks up tomorrow at 10, delivers next day, Friday. They're way above the averages, but so I'd be curious to know what's going on with this. But it's definitely a profitable load if this is legit. Um, Georgia, North Carolina, another good lane, 300 miles or 259 miles for $900. Here's one that just added Jackson, Georgia, Lakeland, Florida, $1,400. Here's a Worldwide Express. Picks up today at 9:30 p.m. Delivers tomorrow 8 p.m. So you book this, you leave out Friday morning. It gives you time to deadhead out of Lakeland if needed. But I've actually been seeing decent rates coming out of Florida more than normal. So yeah, Georgia's a good spot, and you're gonna hang out there for a little bit. You're not gonna try to go to Ohio or Indiana or anything like that, unless it's time to go home. But yeah, I mean, all this money is Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. So let's take a look at a different state here. Let's go to Ohio. Let's see what Ohio's doing here. All right, sort by highest rate. Let's see where the long haul stuff's going. Now, just because I sort it by highest rate doesn't mean it's all long haul, but what that really tells, it's going by the highest rate. So $3,800 to go to Saskatchewan, 208 a mile. That's not the highest rate per mile, but it's the most money. It's the highest paying load coming out overall rate. So those tend to be the longer haul stuff, right? So if you do rate per mile, like anybody can brag, hey, I got $4 a mile. Yeah, for what? 100 miles. So you got $400. Can you survive off $400 a day in your trucking operation? So you got to be careful these social media posts and these YouTubers that talk about how much they make per mile, because $4 a mile for 100 miles, that's $400. Now, if that's the only load you do all that day, then is that really good money for you? For anybody else? Is that really worth bragging about? So the highest rate per mile tends to be the shorter haul. So what I look for, what my eyes automatically try to go to is what's the highest rate per mile and overall rate. And so a lot of these 3,600, 3,300s, these are $1.50, $1.28 to go to California. A lot of stuff going to Canada, but here we go. 222 a mile, 26.95. Boom. My eyes already going that. Obviously, you're going to Florida. Here's another one, a little bit higher, $1.93, $2,400 going to South Dakota. Of course, getting out of South Dakota is a bit of a bear. $1.26 go to Phoenix. Not a great rate per day. Florida. So as I scroll down, now I'm looking at these, $1.85 to go to Orlando, probably not a great idea. $1,800 to go to Louisiana. $1.48 to go to Texas, right? So what we'll do is we'll scroll back all the way back up here and go to rate per mile. And I'll bypass all of these $500, $600 loads. I'll just keep bypassing them. Here we go. This one jumped out at me. 1423. Wapakoneta, Ohio to Maryland. 5,600 pounds. That could be a good load. That's 401 miles. If there's no extra stops, then you've made $1,400 a day. Oh, here we go. Drop trailer at the receiver, 24 to 72 hours. That's why they're paying a little bit better on that one. I don't do drop trailer loads unless the driver goes home under that load. But here we go. Cincinnati Coldwater, 238 miles, $810. That's a good day. In dry van. You flatbedders might be like, right? Scrolling. I'm looking for the 4-digit numbers now. Here we go. 1,300 to go to Maryland. Several of those. Cleveland to Carlisle, 306 mile, $1,000 for 335 miles. I'm looking for my good daily rates here. Now you say, well, Steve, your cost according to your 1, 2, 3 thing. Here we go. South Carolina, $1,500. Let's go to my cost per day. Is $358. So why not look at those $500 loads? Because if I can make $800 in one day versus $500 in one day, that's what I'm going to look at. That 358 is I probably need to adjust that because that was my truck costs. But I know a lot of you are probably running on a higher cost per day. Let's see if we can do that here real quick. Actually, I think I can just go to profit calculator. No, let's see. It's been a minute since I've actually messed with this. So let's go back to market rates. Nope. Where's my? Let's just look for a load here. Find loads. Here we go. Denver to El Paso. Let's look at this one. This must have been something I was looking at for somebody. Let's click on this here. Let's edit my cost per day. Let's put this at 500 now. Let's up my truck expenses to 4,500. Next. See what that does. Next. And we got 20 work days. Next. All right, so that puts me at 433. That's a little bit more realistic, I think. That's just a break even, right? So now we go back to load availability. Put this on van. And we'll go back to Ohio. So now this will change the game, right? So here's Medina to Vineland, New Jersey. They're at 1,000. Normally it's at 1,400, so they're a little low on this. So in my profit calculator, I've got my estimated fuel costs. And then I've got my 20%. It calls it a dispatch fee, but you can use that as your percentage. Here at Like Truck, and I'd be getting above 80% because of my longevity, but I'll just keep it at 80 just to make it simple. Actually, you know what? I am going to change that. Let's see. Let's do 17%. Oops. So this is still above my cost per day, even after my 17%, right? And then it calculates my fuel at, where's my fuel at 6 miles per gallon, which is the safe number. Even if you got one of these new fuel efficient trucks, 6 is the safe one. And then if you're following your IFTA reports, the IFTA report will tell you what you're averaging. So I'd rather pull these 290-mile round trip loads than a $4 mile load. There you go. Yeah, because consistency, right? YouTube didn't notify me. I didn't realize I was missing this stupid algorithm. She used Snorelord. Is set at $800 per day. Let's see how many unprofitable loads are posted, right? Any freeloads? Oh, there's plenty of freeloads. There's plenty of them. Just pick a load to California and you're good to go. So like for a minute they were paying well to go out. They were like paying better than normal to go out to Oregon and Washington, but they've stopped doing that. So let's take a look at Missouri, my favorite state. All right, sort by highest rate. Yeah, 261 a mile, $3,000. So this is St. Charles to Fort Myers, Florida. Let's take a look at this one. Picks up not until next week, so we're not in a hurry, right? 4 extra stops. So it's got a bunch of stops on it. So when you have all those extra stops, depending on how they're managed, that could increase your rate per day. I mean, that could decrease your rate per day. Because this run here would normally be a 2-day run, but maybe it turns into a 4-day run. Divide 3,000 by 4, that's not a great rate per day. So it's so you have to look at that, right? And you got to look at the mileage as well. But obviously that's going to be all in the line, so that's not a big deal. But just be aware. And a lot of those, Friday was full of shenanigans last week. Brokers were misposting. They were putting different, they were just holding back a lot of information. They were like, we had drivers booking loads, and then once they saw the rate con, it wasn't what they agreed to, either the rate or the locations. A lot of, there were some loads that I called or emailed about, and it was literally a 200-mile difference, but of what they posted to make the rate per mile look good. Just little things like that just, it was at full tilt on Friday. It was very frustrating. But like I said, before, the highest rate per mile, which we're on the highest rate, and a lot of them are going to Florida. There's 206 mile to go to El Paso. That's actually not bad, but there's 4 extra stops, right? 10,000 pounds out of St. Charles. This is shopping carts. Which are fairly easy deliveries, but again, and then the other tool I like using is, let's go back to this El Paso load. Let's look at the backhaul stuff. Backhaul list here on the bottom. There's only 2 loads out of El Paso going anywhere. And only 6 going from Texas to Missouri. Well, Texas is a pretty big state. So if I'm looking for a backhaul, this is probably not the state I want to be in. Or going anywhere. So, you got to, that's where these tools come in handy. Hey, if you do this load, there's a possibility of this load. And you can play that game with the broker. Let's say I call Royal Transportation on the St. Louis to Newark. And before I book this load, I might say, okay, what do you got coming out of there? And they might be like, oh, we've got this load coming out. Okay, well, then you can wheel it on 2 loads. Boom. Next thing you know, you're not having to look at a load board for a few days, right? So that's a good way to develop a relationship with the broker, that at least keep you moving. And a good broker will say, well, how often do you do this lane? And then you tell them, hey, I run Missouri to Ohio all the time, which I did. And if you come up with something that's kind of semi-dedicated, like you're not drawing a contract, but you're the number one go-to guy whenever they need a load move, that's a good thing, right? You have a go-to broker. Oh, I can always get out of this place with this broker. And I know someone that's had the same relationship with that kind of deal for years now. So financially fearless, forge your future. Getting out of South Dakota this time of year is nice. DIY semi, trucking boo. He's trying to be scary. Boo! Been running nothing but dedicated customer freighter the last few months. Actually enjoy it. Showed up a customer this morning, drove around. Everyone else to get unloaded and reloaded. DIY, I have a great story for you on what happened this morning. Yep. So, I mean, look, running the spot market 100%, it's a tough gig, but it could be rewarding if you got your ducks in a row. Like if you own a Jeep or something. Let's see. So Missouri's not looking bad. Let's see. Let's go to reefer here, since DIY's in the house and Fate's in here. Let's take a look at Georgia. They're not paying a reefer to go out west either. Lewiston, Maine for 218. A lot of these look like van rates. $1.07 to go to Utah. Okay, well, it's a partial. Bunch of those. And see, you can switch this to rate per mile, right? If you're fixated on that, and just make sure that the day makes sense. Here's $5 a mile, $1,000, 200 miles. Georgia to Tennessee. We'll click on this one. Picks up tomorrow. I would hope it delivers the next day. Oh, it's got a second stop, second pickup. More likely produce. Yep, temperature 28. Maybe not produce. 28 is below freezing. No tolls. Let's take a look at outbound in Tennessee. Tennessee outbounds are pretty decent. 80 loads out of Knoxville going anywhere. 4 going right back to Georgia. And then you can look at inbound. Okay, what's the highest paying load per mile inbound to Georgia? 778. Tennessee to Georgia. So what that tells me is that Tennessee to Georgia and Georgia to Tennessee is a good lane. That pays pretty decent. Both directions, which is what I look for. But anyways, I just got a phone call. I should probably take it. So the owner says, I just got home, turned the computer onto this. Yay. That's awesome. And the spot market, is the spot market profitable enough to allow me to buy a Hellcat? Sure. Anyways, 48065 if you want to try out the 123 low board. There's ways to support the channel. I appreciate everybody that comes in. Hit the like on the way out. If you hated this video, hit the thumbs down twice. That'll teach me a lesson. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. We'll hopefully, we'll see you on Friday. And I'll do better about my intro. Peace.